This is Sylvie Curry from Ramona, California, and I'm listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things that are important to the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here for your Tuesday evening's live fire fun and frivolity show. If tonight, the last show of 2022, you would like to take part, here's how you do that and how you follow the show.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at BBQCentralShow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you get the newsletter coming up in about 12 minutes from now. And he will carry 35 past the hour as well, a longtime sponsor of the show, but more importantly than that, a longtime friend of the show and friend of mine outside of the show, and a founder of one of the most popular cooking vessels in the live fire space right now and has been ever since its inception. We welcome back 2022 Barbecue Guest Hall of Fame member Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cooker. On tap with Noah this evening. Through those two segments, we will talk about how his life has changed for the better as it relates to getting into the Guest Hall of Fame this year, along with the 4 other members that he's been inducted with. We'll also talk about 2022, this past year, and how that hit his business. We'll also have him take a look ahead into 2023 and get his idea on what might be happening in the live fire space as well. Also, depending on how time evolves and or evaporates during this segment, I would really like to do an origin story, but Noah is so steeped in story and background, we should probably just hold these two segments aside and do an origin story right off the bat, but we have some other business items to get to. So we will attempt an origin story with Noah Glanville, but I'm sure it won't do as much service as I would like to, but at least get a working background of what Noah was like prior to the Pit Barrel Cooker and any time before he got into the live fire industry, background about where he grew up and how he's served the country, what he's been through in that regard. So looking forward to catching up with Noah Glanville in the first hour. That will bring a close to the first hour, and then we'll move to the second hour where we will find, because it's the 4th Tuesday of a month, the last Embedded Correspondents segment of 2022, and dare I say, the last hour of the show in 2022. That's right. So this evening, we will have a special Embedded Correspondence segment. I have it slated to run in its normal time frame, although there may be some topics that we don't want to siphon off into 2023 for that January segment. So we might go a little bit longer here this evening. Who knows at this point? That's why it's live. That's why we do the show live.
We'll do it live.
But we are starting out with the expectation that it will go its traditional 2 segments and not a second longer than that. On the agenda this evening, I have a mea culpa. I have an apology. I have to call myself onto the carpet at the beginning of the Embedded Correspondent segment. I'm not proud of it. And to be quite honest, I didn't even know I was in violation until an Instagram follower casually asked me a question. And I'm going to leave it there. But boy, do I look like a sham. Much like Doug Scheiding, I might have earned my internet broadcasting career degree from Sham University upstate. Graduation rate of 2, or graduation class of 2, Sham University upstate. Such a prolific university, now graduating its second member. Doug being the initial university holder, I'm now the second graduating member. So we will do that. Then I have a major announcement as it relates to the show in 2023 that I thought we would never see again because of things that happened in 2022, but I was wrong, and I'm happy to say I'm wrong. I didn't even expect it, and this wasn't even happening until about 3 hours ago. But I will also introduce that, and then we will get into the 100% Assurity Picks. Brand new round of that, and we will also get into the best of 2022, best guests, best trends, worst trends, best segments, things like this. There's also some Beyond Meat potential, but that's probably going to get pushed off until January as well, although more and more of us seem to be getting our hands on the seared beef tips. I found mine just yesterday at a Walmart in Eastlake. I haven't gotten to them yet because I'm eating all the leftovers from the holidays, and that's really hard to do. Trust me. I'm trying my hardest and trying to live within the David Leans and Do Wellness program all at the same time. So that's what's on tap here this evening. Noah Glanville, first hour, Embedded Correspondents, second hour. And wouldn't you know it, it's the last show of 2022. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat at BBQ Central Show. We say good evening to those of you watching through one of our video streaming platforms this evening. You can go to Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show to watch. Also, you can take in the show via the YouTubes/RD Rempe. I will also take a second to say hello to all the folks using the audio streaming platform Clubhouse as well. And there you can hear us instead of watching us. You can do it whichever way you want. This week's poll on the YouTube, but if you'd like to answer, go ahead on Facebook and Twitch and shoot it up there in the chat. I will see it in my role. What are you eating for New Year's Day? Some form of pork and sauerkraut or something else altogether? Initially, 33% of you are doing some type of pork and sauerkraut, and 67% of you are doing something completely different. So we will keep tabs on that here this evening. So let's start here tonight. I got a number of emails over the week saying how much enjoyment was gotten out of the 2022 year in review that I tried to race through last Tuesday night, and I quickly realized while I was putting that together, there's a tremendous amount of material to get through, and I see within a 12-month span, the show generates an incredibly amount of diverse content, the majority covering the barbecue and grilling industry, but sometimes it's off the board. It makes me think of something John Solberg said to me a number of years ago. He said that years from now, when people go back to research the barbecue and grilling industry between 2006, when the show started just as a podcast, to whenever the show ends, and there's no end date in sight at this point, the Barbecue Central Show will be the reference to turn to see what was happening, what was being invented, what was being brought to market for sale, whose barbecue restaurant was the best, what trends were beginning and ending, what was the news of the day. This show is a documentation of the history and is done in a way that has never been done before. So when I end up doing a year in review, it reminds me that this is what continues to drive me to do the show each Tuesday, to entertain, to educate the audience. Yes, of course, but to document the happenings of an industry that I really enjoy covering. So thank you to everyone who's ever listened to even one episode of the show, and to the future people who are listening to the show on podcast or on YouTube. I hope the show helps you see what was going down during the times you are in the process of researching. I plan to continue to do the show at the level you have come to expect from me, and there are some great things in store for 2023, so be ready, as we will be off and running next week. We do not do seasons. We do not do winter breaks or holiday breaks or any of that crap. No days off. No days off. We only do it live, and we only do it Tuesdays. So let's continue to press through right into the new year. Bob in California writing in, Greg, big podcast listener, maybe 5 years or so. Add me to the list of barbecuers that enjoy a premium cigar. In fact, my interest has grown over the past year or so. Hearing this Mr. J guy on the show has added a lot of value to my overall knowledge, and he has introduced me to a number of brands I wouldn't have been aware of otherwise. Thanks for the diverse content on the show, and looking forward to Mr. J's next visit. Regards, Bob. Bob, thank you. Noah Glanville will be dropping by to chat here for the next two segments. Before we get to him, what do we love about ceramic cookers? We love that they're fuel efficient. We love that you can achieve low and slow temperatures for traditional barbecue meats. We love that you can get rip-roaring hot for high-temperature grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in the everyday lineup of ceramic cookers? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. It's the easiest way to manage a fire with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker is not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Enter Primo Grill and their game-changing oval design. This shape gives you the ability to execute the two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. When you think about it, you can cook on this thing 60 different ways. Primo Cooker is only limited by your culinary imagination. They got new lift hinges. They got revamped top and bottom air damps. They got the Primo Grill rotisserie. They got the pizza grill accessory. They have rib racks, a whole bunch of great accessories to complete that Primo Grill experience. Only sold through dealers. So find one near you by visiting primogrill.com. Then visit the dealer, touch them, feel them, and then pick the oval that's best for you. Here's the bottom line. Best ceramics in the biz, of course. Patented technology, you betcha. True two-zone cooking capabilities, I just told you that. And they do have multiple sizes. Get the oval. Do they have a round one? Yeah. Get the oval. Even Meathead says get the oval, and who doesn't trust Meathead? He rates it very highly on his Smokers and Grills reviews over at AmazingRibs.com. So don't take my word for it. Take Meathead's word for it. PrimoGrill.com. That's PrimoGrill.com. And I hope to have Noah Glanville right after this. So stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
Welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by CookinPellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. All you have to do is visit CookinPellets.com. That's COOKIN Pellets.com for more information or to purchase. Or you can see what other great products they might have to add a little smoky goodness to whatever it is out there on your pellet cooker. Maybe a charcoal cooker. Who knows? Chris Becker and the gang ready to support the show once again in 2023. So if you're looking for quality pellets, that is the place that I suggest you go first and foremost. My guest in the first hour this evening is the co-founder of Pit Barrel Cooker. He is continuing to enjoy success on many levels, not the least of which is being inducted into the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame class of 2022, i.e. this year's class. A successful businessman, a family man as I know him, a veteran of this country, and one of the best humans walking the earth currently. Also, ready to go here in the green room. We welcome back friend of the show, Noah Glanville. Hey, Noah.
What's up, buddy?
I'm happy to have you. Glad you could make it.
Man, that sounded like a hell of an introduction. Thank you.
I have to ask you right off the bat, as I do to each new member of the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame, not did it come as a surprise or was the ring enough got for you, but how has life, or how have you had to adjust to life getting into the Barbecue Central Show's Guest Hall of Fame, all the fanfare, media attention, and requests I consume? I've only heard from other guys over the last 4 years that we've done it. It can be overwhelming.
No doubt, and we should probably start a group with some of the other guys to help deal with those the changes in life.
You need a support group for the Barbecue Hall of, or for the Guest Hall of Fame.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the funniest things, one of my boys walked in my office and he saw it sitting on my desk and he says, "Dad, that looks like a Super Bowl ring. What is that?" And I said, "Well, read it, buddy. It has my name on it, Barbecue Hall of Fame. You know, I'm a big deal." And they're like, "You are not a big deal. What are you talking about?" And
You're just dad.
You know, come on. No, really cool. It's the coolest ring I have. I mean, besides my wedding ring, but it's much appreciated. Thank you.
Noah, people don't know this, but right around this time, maybe even a little earlier, this time last year, let's say November-ish, we were talking just offline between us gals, and you said, you know, people are going to be in for a rude awakening. The contacts that you had, that we weren't naming names, rule number 1 of the show, of course, no names, please. You said there's a lot of inventory that's stacking up. There's a lot of holds being placed on stuff that's being brought in from overseas, but people don't want to do that. And as the year turns, it still might look a little hefty from the sales side, but quickly it will evaporate. You know, we're going to find ourselves in a precarious position. You were dead on. What do you look back at and evaluate Pit Barrel Barbecues 2022?
You know, I think I contributed that to being a business owner and entrepreneur, birds of a feather, right? And so you know a lot of other people that own businesses.
But it seems some of the biggest and smartest businesses were gambling that what had happened in a 2-year span that had never happened before in this industry was going to stick, and they were increasing a number of employees and manufacturing facilities and bringing on incredibly weird lines to supplement the product or to value add to the core business product. And you saw well past that. But some of the biggest names, as I said, seemed to buy in hook, line, and sinker, and to the demise of some CEOs, by the way.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, bandwidth is probably the most expensive thing to bring onto a company, and people poured on the bandwidth to support the growth. I mean, you looked at what, 2018, 2019, you know, what we were getting close to a $5 billion industry in barbecue, and you look at where we're at now. And I mean, and I think I'm really excited for what 2023 is going to bring. I think it's probably needed if it goes the way that I think it will. But it's going to be painful. I think we're going to have historic layoffs, and there's going to be companies. I mean, I was just talking with a friend, you could hire the most well-educated number cruncher to help you with your forecast, and they're still, at the end of the day, after looking at the spreadsheets, are going to have no clue. You've got to put factors in, and put all these things on the wall and say, now what do we do? And I wouldn't want to be a company that is taking 10+% of the lion's share in this industry right now, because you have some big, difficult decisions to make coming in. And I mean, I think there's talk about in 2025 it being a $10 billion industry, and I believe it. I just think it's going to be a roller coaster getting there. And just like anything, when you're playing with a roller coaster, trying to figure out when to get on and get off, you're going to get hurt. So, with our size, we've always grown responsibly, and I'm glad that, I feel really good for where we're at. Being direct to consumer, I wouldn't have it any other way. We can bring more value, we can bring better quality, and we can be more nimble when we need to, and directly support the consumer demand versus waiting a year or 18 months for when that purchase order comes in from a larger big box. So, I feel like we're in a pretty good spot to grow, or if we need to pump the brakes, we can do that too.
When you talk about having it be a roller coaster ride here over the next year and a half or so, do you see, as we've seen in the last year and a half, there was an incredible amount of business being transacted within itself. You had other big barbecue and grilling companies buying smaller to medium-sized barbecue and grilling companies. Do you see flat-out attrition, or companies flat-out going out of business, or do you see some bigger ones gobbling up some smaller ones to add to growth that way?
I think there'll definitely be more companies buying up some smaller ones, but I think there'll be some big surprises coming in 2023 with different things that take place. I mean, I think that the fastest way, I said it, and I mean, I'm not a economist, but there will be absolutely historic layoffs coming in 2023. That I think that you look at all the big CEOs of huge companies that have departed or been shown the door in 2022, and the first thing they're going to do to get their feet under themselves, or the fastest way to make an attempt to get your business healthy, is if you've had some big losses, you're sitting on a ton of inventory. Many different industries are sitting on a lot of inventory right now, and the fastest way to adjust that is to lay people off. And but I think I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think there's some really exciting things for the barbecue industry, if you will, grill manufacturing, smoking, cooking at home. You've got prices were already expensive. It's way too expensive to go out. Food it's insane, but we need to, it's pretty out of balance. And I think everyone would agree with that, but it's how do we get back down? And I think that there's going to be a rejuvenation of people, just like there was going into COVID, where people said, well, they didn't have any other choice. And we've got a lot of new fans and customers out there that purchased a grill or a smoker, and they got good with it. But the second that things opened up, they went back out and they started going to the restaurants. But things are expensive. And I think, there's a lot of people that are very comfortable, that are exhausting their nest egg or their savings, saying, I don't want to go back to work. And, we haven't exactly given a lot of incentive for everyone to go back to work yet. So, call it what you will. Those folks that say, well, I'm going to wait to go back to work and I find the job that will allow me to work from home, is going to be a bigger struggle. And when that happens, I think people are going to get lean again, and they're going to go back to their grill and their cooker, and because that's going to be the cheapest way to eat and cook. And I think we're going to have it's going to be another shot of nitrous to the barbecue industry. Interesting
take there from Noah Glanville, the co-owner of Pit Barrel Cooker, pitbarrelcooker.com, the website, of course. Any other look aheads for 2023? Are you going to be bringing anything new to the market from a Pit Barrel side, or do you have, any other brands that you're kicking around that you might introduce to the market?
Yeah, we do. We have another grill that we're going to be bringing out in the spring, and that's we're keeping that somewhat tight to our chest.
All right.
But I will say that the but you will be the first to know, and we'll talk more about that. And that'll be teed up more for Amazon, big box retailers, if that's where it makes sense to go. But the pit barrel is something that's super high quality. It is very well built, and there just hasn't been historically enough margin for the big box retail to take their bite of it, the consumer to get a quality product without compromising quality. And so that's why we are primarily direct to consumer. One of the things I'm excited about with our current lineup is the PBX. The PBX is a horse. That thing can cook mass amounts of food and still have that same amazing quality that you get on the PBJ or PBC. It's just not everybody wants the big cat daddy grill, or has that many friends for that matter, or would want to. I mean, the thing's huge. So you can do 30 racks of ribs in it at once. So we are going to do some things to really make it easier for the restaurants, caterers to get their hands on one in 2023. And that, I think, will also lead to just another tipping point for our brand and just the segment of cooking, hanging the meat, the juices dripping directly down onto the coals, and that amazing flavor that you get that you can only get with a pit barrel.
When we were talking about the business of the industry a few moments ago, I wanted to ask you, through the whole COVID run, was there ever a alley conversation or, hey, just between us, so-and-so is we're interested in acquiring pit barrel cooker? Were you ever solicited to sell outright?
We looked at, I'm always transparent, and you ask me a question, I'll do my best not to dance around it too bad. So that was something, Amber and I have worked at this business for going on 12 years, and we put everything into it all the time. At some point you want to grow something that's of value. I wanted to be able to spend more time with our boys. We recently moved back to my hometown, and being able to give in different ways to the community and just to the industry and what we've done, it made sense to say, well, let's at least explore it, just like anybody I think would. And where we got to phenomenal sales year in 2020, and margins just really getting eroded in 2021.
Yeah.
And the shipping costs that was detrimental, and just not the year. And so we've said, well, we'll keep the sleeves rolled up and we'll keep plugging away, but we won't compromise. We want to stay in the game and find the right fit. But yeah, everything at the right price, things can work, and we'll always look at that, but without compromising the brand and what we built. That's the main thing.
So if you're looking for a premium barrel smoker, go to pitbarrelcooker.com, no doubt about it. And if you want the real big ass one, Noah just said 30 racks of ribs at a clip, then you want to look at the PBX, of course. Add that to the backyard, be the envy of the neighborhood, and maybe some of the other moms might be like, oh, look at this guy. He's not overcompensating. He's just a Pitmaster Deluxe with a PBX. So be on the lookout for those. Let's do an origin story on Noah Glanville, or as best we can. I don't know if you're familiar with these, but they are critically acclaimed. The best one so far in 2022 was a look back at a guy named John Marcus. I don't know if you're familiar with John Marcus, Noah, but he is a Emmy Award-winning TV producer known for the shows like Barbecue Pitmasters, for instance. So let's do a little origin story on Noah Glanville. When and where were you born?
Well, I was born in California, Berkeley, California, of all crazy places. In 1978, October.
All right, good vintage right there. I'm 4 years older than you. How many people in the family?
We've got 4 people in my family: Easton, Max.
No.
And you know,
growing
Amber.
up, we're starting from the beginning. This is before you even had a family.
Yeah,
How many
that's right.
people in
We're
your
the
immediate
origin,
family?
that's right.
Yeah, right.
Well, so I have a twin brother, and I have a sister that's
So do I.
6 years older.
I got a twin brother too. What's that? Is your twin brother's name
I
Chris?
think we knew that. No, Zach.
Almost. Oh,
Yeah.
close. And that's it? Just you and Zach?
Zach, and then a sister. She's 6 years older.
All right. Mom and dad stay together through
They did.
growing up years and all that? Still together?
Yeah, we're very, very lucky. Stay together, still together. Yeah, very important.
So, mid 70s going into the early 80s as you really, start to see what's happening around the house and stuff. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. There were a lot of other moms around the neighborhoods that I grew up in, moved a couple times, that all the moms seemed to stay home and be the stay-at-home mom while the dads went out and earned a living. Same kind of a setup with you, or both parents worked?
Both parents worked. They've always been a team, and I think that's part of what I grew up with and what I saw. My dad, he was dabbled in. He's always been an entrepreneur, and my mom supported that. And real estate, had a jewelry store.
Wow.
Saw good times and bad when the hard times came around and recession. Saw him go out and pound nails in construction, and so very interesting childhood in that respect, and just seeing the good times and bad, and a roller coaster, and hard to put a value on that.
So what do you like as a kid prior to high school? What are you into? And are you a rambunctious, curious kid, or are you pretty straight lined?
I was an athlete, loved sports. I was passionate about anything I did. I was always working, always had a job, always had, walking around money. I'd clear lots, cut trees down, anything to make money. And I never wanted to, at a young age, I never wanted to wait for anybody to give it to me. I wanted to go out and be able to buy what I wanted myself. And in the back of my mind, I always, I wanted to be on a ski team, and that was, where we live up here now. That was always a dream and something I wanted to do, and couldn't afford to do it. And so those were some things that I said, when I want to be able to create an environment for my kids that when it's their turn, that all those doors and windows are open. So, this is something that through a lot of hard work and a good product, we've been able to provide a good lifestyle for our family.
So when you're growing up and you kind of have that fire lit within you, is that, do mom and dad just say, hey, we don't have money for that, or, this year it's tough and you're going to have to go without on a few different things like this, or you just see your dad busting his ass and your mom busting her ass, and you're like, I got to get in that mindset too, and that's also how I'm going to make some money to get some things that I want?
I think it was seeing other kids and other peers that had things that I wanted and that I didn't have, and having an attitude that if you sat back and said, well, I'm just going to wait for someone to give it to me or it'd be handed to me, it probably wasn't going to show up anytime soon. And there were several things that, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. And I'm glad it worked out the way that it did, because if it was handed to me, things might have not have gone the way that they did. And it made me hungry. It made me want to go out and get it myself. But I've always, I've also always said, and I'm transparent, no one has ever had to beg me to go outside and have a fist fight either. I would beat anybody out the door. I'm that guy anyway. I respect others, but demand that I be respected back. And that's, so raising 2 young boys and trying to put the filter on that too, because there's a fine line between obviously getting in trouble and where that can lead, but also leading and growing a business and being a father and a husband, and having that balance of sticking up for yourself and being passionate, but not going too far either. So
when you are in high school, what kind of a student are you? And I would assume extracurricular-wise, if you were into sports as a little kid, you're probably much more into sports through high school since you're now at a little bit more of an elite level.
Yeah, great question. And I wish I had a chance to say this more often in a public forum. I wish I had tried harder in school. I didn't apply myself. I was there 100% for sports, and I love sports. Sports, that was the first taste of being successful for me was on through wrestling and on a football team, and ran track. And I mean, I was. Wow. Was a decent athlete, but I tried hard, and I was there primarily for the sport. So staying eligible was really the only goal. And it wasn't until later on down the road where I'm watching Harriers take off of the USS Bellawood. I'm cammied up with on my face, sitting on the deck roasting as a quick reaction force. And I realized I should have studied a little more, and I should have applied myself. And I was absolutely capable, and I just didn't have the confidence academically to really do it. And it was just at that point in my life, it was a little too late to try to reverse that. But the military was great for me, did more for me than I did for it, and gave me that confidence, from an academic standpoint to do a lot of other things. And yeah, so primarily sports. And so the short answer, Greg, is I was not the exemplary student.
When you're going through the high school years, what's the relationship like with your parents? Are you still pretty cohesive, or did you have some challenges getting through those years?
I pretty much marched to my own drum beat. Did my own thing. And I never got into drugs. Had my fair share of scuffles. Did what I think most kids in high school, did during those days. Dated, had a lot of fun, loved my friends, and high school were some great years. It was a great chapter in my life, and growing up where I did is awesome place. Growing up in the mountains, being able to go off your back deck and shoot things until dark and hunt. I mean, I was very fortunate where I grew up.
All right, we're talking with Noah Glanville, getting his origin story here. We're going to break just for 1 second. I'm going to do a quick commercial, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about post-high school for as much as we can. But this is very interesting. I'm learning some things here, and we've had some personal meetings outside of the show, of course. So hang with me through the break here, and we'll come right back, talk a little bit more with Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cooker, and see what's happened after high school. So let me talk to you quickly about the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue. Big Papa Smokers, the one-stop online shop for all things outdoor cooking. Everything has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself, from the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers. Big Papa Smokers has everything you need to be a better outdoor cook. Known for the championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, all proven winners on the competition circuit and in backyards. Big Papa's offering 13 perfectly balanced flavors to transform ordinary meals into extraordinary meals. Also owner of Granny's Barbecue Sauce. So if you're looking for a new go-to sauce, or you're tired of what's existing out there right now, give Granny's a try. You might like it all by itself, or use it as a base sauce and trick it out from there to your liking. Aside from the rubs and sauces, they're selling the very best pellet charcoal and wood cookers available today. If you're looking for something versatile that's easy to use, check out that Mac 2-Star General Pellet Cooker. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. If you're not a fan of pellet smokers, or you don't know what grill you need, call them, ask questions, and they will help you make the right decision. 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, or just browse the website, bigpopsmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. We are back with more Noah Glanville from Pit Barrel Cooker right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion being brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via Bluetooth. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck. Fireboard, fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. And don't sleep on the Fireboard Spark rave reviews right now. Instant read meat thermometer and a 1-channel Fireboard, and being updated regularly. Fireboard.com. And we are rejoined by Noah Glanville, getting the origin story here. So you're out of high school. You'd mentioned the military. Was there a thought of college at any point there, or was it just straight into the military right out of high school?
No, I did. I went down to the Bay Area. So Chabot College, to be exact, it was a junior college. Went down there for a year and
for sports.
I'll give this. Started out playing football, just briefly, but after having zero study habits, very little. I mean, it was. Don't know what I was thinking. I go there and then I'm listening to teachers and professors that came across as having no real world experience in anything that they're actually talking about, and I've always had a difficult time with that. And for me, it was not a fit. And so I'm not saying that higher education is, I think now in my life, and that could be different, and what I'd say to my boys, and just to touch on college, don't want that to be taken the wrong way. If there's a specific need, a career path that you want to take, that college is needed, absolutely. But it's not a great place just to go and waste a bunch of money because other people are doing it, or you haven't figured out anything else to do. But not taking that advice, I went and for a short amount of time, and it wasn't a fit. And so I said, I'll join the Navy, become a Navy SEAL. That was my path of what I wanted to do. Wow. And it joined, went to be a Navy corpsman, took the ASVAB, and they said, you could do anything you want except for the nuke program. And I thought, are you sure you are looking at my test? Because there's no way that I did that well on it. And they said, no, what did you cheat? And I said, no, I didn't cheat. I guessed on a few, but
that's not cheating.
But no. And so I went in as a corpsman, and that was a SEAL source rate job at the time, I believe still is. And then went through Corps school. I remember going to Corps school and opening up the book, and it was right at the pharmacology, toxicology section. And I didn't even know what some of the words were. And I thought, I am so screwed. And right at that point, they're telling me that, look to your right, look to your left. One of you won't be here. And you're going to, you fail out, you fail 2 tests, and you get, sent off to the fleet, chipping paint and scooping shit. And I thought, well, that's going to be me. And so took the first test, failed it. I remember calling my grandpa, and I said, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he said, you can do this. And he says, you've got to dig deep, and you can do it. And he knew me well, and I believed him. And so did flashcards, did everything that I ever saw anyone do that looked like they excelled in school. And so aced the next test, and ended up coming back from failing the test to graduating second in the class.
Wow.
And I was on cloud 9, and nothing was going to stop me. That was a feeling that I had. So through just fear of being sent to the fleet for 3 years and living in the bottom of a ship in the worst conditions, I didn't want that to happen to me. And so graduated Corps school. And then at the time they said that they were full on the SEAL, the teams were full on corpsmen, and they had filled out the quota, and that they would probably open that back up. It had been some time since they had reopened it. And I just had gone in a different path and decided that maybe that wasn't what I wanted to do. And by the time I finally got orders to go, it didn't seem like it was a right fit, and maybe I wouldn't be here today as a result. But deploying with the Marines and as a Navy combat medic, I wouldn't change anything. Some of the best and worst years of my life, hands down, and definitely makes you see things differently, for sure.
When you say some of the best and some of the worst years of your life, what are the best things that you remember?
I think what the person that it made me today, and the father that I believe I can be, and the spouse and a friend, the lens that I look through, some of the mentors that I had, and leaders that I was so lucky to have, and unfortunately some of them aren't with us anymore today. But just life is all about experiences, and it's what makes you who you are. And some people are a little more eager to go out and get an extra dose of an experience. And some people say, I'm going to choose to live in a bubble, and that's going to be my experience. And I've always wanted to live my life to the fullest. And I believe that it's allowed me to be the kind of dad that I hoped I would be. My boys might say differently. I don't, they probably say, if you could ask them, and I say, and I ask them this, I say, if there's something I needed to work on, what would it be? And it's funny asking little boys this, and because they look at you and they say, do I get to really be honest here? And this is my chance. and patience is always one of those that work on your patience, Dad. And okay, I'll try. And that's probably a fair assessment of me not being patient. I like to run really fast at things. So yeah.
What were the worst things about it?
War, for sure. Seeing people do horrible things to each other. And by far seeing children get caught up in war and in the fog of war is I think the worst thing.
And you were in the middle of
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So seeing that, families that, won't see each other again, and knowing that we did that, we're taking land, we're occupying an area, and that's part of the mission, but that's also what the fog of war is, and living with it, and knowing, it's not a matter of, you can be callous and step back and say, well, it takes some, you got to break some eggs to make an omelet. And at the end of the day, yes, there's a mission to accomplish, but there's always those things that as a human, you need to look back. I don't think you'd be right if you didn't look back and that affect you in some way. Seeing friends that you served with that didn't come back, or came back, severely affected, either physically or mentally. Those are tough things, but there's war definitely does something to you that, being on the ground and fighting in combat, at least, and I can only speak from my experience, definitely does something to you that that never goes away. And PTSD, it can be dormant. And I always say, I have to stay busy. Bad things happen for me if I don't stay busy. And you go to places, you can be depressed, and to a place where I don't want to even chance going down that path. And so I stay busy. I'm always moving, no matter what, whether it's physically working outside or on the business. I'm always thinking, and I have to say, and really kind of compartmentalize, from coaching youth sports for my kids, being a dad, being a good husband, trying to be a good husband, and business owner, and making sure that I'm checking those right boxes in those areas, and not, I don't, and somewhat regiment. I mean, people that know me would say I'm pretty sporadic and spontaneous and things like that, but I'm also pretty calculated in the sense of what I do with my time. And, I don't, as an example, if you said who's winning in the NFL and sports, I couldn't tell you. I have no idea. Football, baseball, hockey, any sports. I'd never sit on the couch and check out and watch that, because in my mind, I'm always saying, is this time away from my family and things that I'm doing? And everyone has to have that checkout time and something that they are doing for themselves. And I probably should do more of that, but I don't.
Is it just because of the fear that if you start to become idle, then all the things you're worried about manifesting itself will just start to work its way up on you then?
I think that's a big piece of it. I and you see people idle hands. I think so. I think that's probably a fear.
When you're in the middle of accomplishing the mission, as you say, do they give you any tools to work through, on a day-to-day basis, like what you're seeing, what's actually transacting on the field? And then they can't expect that you guys are just going to be able to tuck away at night and not even think about that again, let alone what you're going to be sent home to deal with because you're following orders. Were you able to put it aside while you're there, or it just immediately affects you and now you're left to self-cope, and then you can't even think about what it's going to be like when you actually get away from it?
I think if I'm understanding the question right, if you're in theater, meaning in combat, in that zone, I think your mind and your body goes to a different place where just survive, get the mission accomplished. You're not thinking about anything else. Especially if you've been there in any prolonged period of time, you're just, you fall in and you don't think about those things. At least I didn't. And I didn't get the feeling that people I was around, spent much time thinking about that. It's more when you get back or when you're departing the military. And I think the military's done a really good job. And it's like, we can always get better. We can always improve, but I think the military's done a really good job to try and address a lot of those things for the personnel getting out in all branches. But, we're so lucky compared to the guys that served in Vietnam and earlier in different conflicts that got absolutely nothing. And, so, I mean, really we're, very grateful for those things. And even just the acknowledgement, that those guys didn't have any acknowledgement of PTSD. That was a joke and you'd be laughed at.
When you are done with your time in the Navy as a corpsman, are you done and you're out of the military altogether after that, and then it's on to work, or what's happening at that point?
For me, it was, I had started a mobile auto detail business, and before I got out, and but when you get out, you're kind of, you go through a bunch of different things and steps, and as you're exiting, and they still do that now. You have a inactive reserve that you're on that you could be called back. So that's always a nice thing to think about, that you could get called back up. Yeah. Yeah. And once you serve that time, once that time goes by, and I can't remember how many years it was, then they, supposedly can't call you back. And now I'm too old. I think 35 is the draft age limit.
Where does Pit Barrel start to make an emergence?
So when I got out, I started my own business in Orange County as a mobile auto detail company. It was doing well. Then the state said you had to retain all the water going down the drain. So it was one of those wonky, unrealistic things. And so my guys were going out, and I was growing a great business. Things were going really well, and they would get in a rush, and they wouldn't put this mat out that was really expensive. So we got fined a couple times, and I finally said, this isn't going to work for us. And, went to work for a company called Extra Lease, and a guy who was an operations manager. Yep. And, white trailers, red letters, XTRA lease. At the time, I want to say it was the second largest trailer leasing company next to TIP. Yep. And Berkshire Hathaway company. So that was my real first taste of corporate life out of the military, which was a huge adjustment. And, firsthand seeing people, in my opinion, worrying about things that weren't anything compared to combat and war. But I was very passionate about it, took a branch that was one of the worst to one of the best utilization. And I knew that at that point, anything that I went to work for, anything I did, I was going to accomplish a mission, and that's always been who I am. And if it requires putting that extra time in, if I find somebody, and there's nothing more powerful than finding someone that you respect, that you look up to. And if I have that, there's no way I'm letting them down. I'll find a way, and I don't want to let someone down. That's just something that's courses through my veins.
Where do you meet Amber, and how does that love story evolve?
So after working for Extra Lease, I was pending a top security clearance to go to work for Blackwater. At the time, they were called Blackwater. So I was doing that, waiting to go to work as a security contractor, and that took a long time to get through that process. And when I would deploy, finally went through, I would deploy to Iraq and Afghanistan, working for a company called MVM and Blackwater, two separate companies at the time, and they would work on government contracts. And anybody can look up that and Google it and see who those contracts are with. It's not secret anymore, but what you did and where you operated and who you operated with, obviously, is when they would frown upon that if I talked a lot about that. Yeah. So we won't. But so I did that and went from making not a lot of money to $1,000 a day, and in the beginning tax free, and then they put the kibosh on that. But if you didn't come back to Washington or stateside for more than 24 hours and went somewhere else, which guys would do, you could avoid paying the taxes in the U.S. So I never did that. I couldn't wait to get back home, and did that for a number of years. And I had a couple hunting dogs, 2 German short-haired pointers. That was all I did. I worked, and then I came back and I hunted with the dogs and spent, a lot of time by myself though. And that was something that I spent a lot of time thinking about the military and what I was doing. And that was kind of a time in my life that was really trying to figure out, like, what is next? What am I going to do? That kind of life was a stepping stone. And while I was back, I rented a room from a friend in Bakersfield, California, of all places. And he owned a nightclub or something, a bar restaurant, and went down one time and met Amber there. And the rest is history.
Was she singing?
She was not singing, but she is a phenomenal singer. So maybe one day you get to hear.
What do you guys decide you're going to bring Pit Barrel to the industry together? Or do you have to sell her on this thing? Or did you guys know you wanted to work together after you get married and all this other stuff? I saw my grandfather and grandma and how they were, and she would go anywhere with him and was the right-hand person. And, and I think a little bit different, and I'm glad to say it, we have a very similar relationship, except Amber is a decision maker too. And, we very much have different departments that we are responsible for. And, couldn't do it without her, and vice versa. I think she would say that. But no, we handle different things, and I'm so fortunate. I'm very lucky, and absolutely nothing to complain about. I say this all the time, and even whether she's watching or not, she's an awesome mother, partner, wife.
I love working with her. And some people say, oh my God, I couldn't stand working with my wife. And I wouldn't want it any other way. It helps us. And, but I mean, I think at some point we'll be ready for the next chapter though, too, to where we can do something that doesn't require as much dependency on just other people and market conditions. And, you never know what's going to happen when you're importing and exporting product all around the world. There's a lot of variables that if you said, if we could get some of these things more manageable and under control, maybe a little less stress.
You have two very well-adjusted boys. I've met them a couple different times. Still young guys, gentlemen, if I might say. Obviously, they're your legacy, right? But I mean, you're humans. So outside of that, and outside of Pit Barrel, is there anything that you care to be remembered for? Is there a legacy that you're actively trying to leave?
It's another great question. Whether they have anything to do with Pit Barrel and I say it all the time, you guys do something else and do it a lot smarter. We've worked as hard as you possibly can, I think, in the way we've done our business, trying to be everything to everybody, trying to have great customer service, and a quality product. And, you can only give so much of yourself, and we give a lot. What I want them, what would break my heart is if one day they said, I would not want to be an entrepreneur. And that was one thing that was a pivotal moment in saying, maybe selling the company, staying on board as C-level executives and still running the company. And that would be most likely how something that would work. You take a certain percent of chips off the table, leave a chunk on. Hopefully the second bite of the apple dwarfs the first, and you continue to run that company, but in a little different way. And one of my boys said, I don't think I want to have my own company one day. And that was like I stopped in my tracks, because I knew why he was saying that. But I asked him, I said, why do you feel that way? And he said, because you're on the phone all the time. And you're always working. And if you're not doing that, you're doing emails and you're on calls and meetings, and it basically pulls all of you. And when that happened, I said, we got to make an adjustment. And I think we have, but what I explained to him is there's things we've done good, and there's things that you can do better and you can be smarter. And if you are going to go to college and learn how money works and how money's really made. That would be a thing, because in talking with companies that buy other companies, they've said it. I had a conversation with one, and they said, we take people like you and your wife who have had probably several mental breakdowns, which we have, and worked your asses off and clawed and scratched.
Anybody? No!
Big stuff out of here.
Huh. Well, did I lose the internet? No? You guys hear me? We still going? Game over, dude. All right. Well, maybe we ran up against the upload limit in California, NorCal. Although I think NorCal is a real place, right? Northern California in the hill country. But we were having a great conversation with Noah Glanville. And I don't know where he went. My fear when this happens, because it just was like a straight cutoff, I immediately looked down to make sure it wasn't my internet, which it's not, obviously. I can see you guys answering back here. But on that cutoff, it's like, can he see that I'm not moving? Is he just talking and talking and talking? I hate that. Oh, all right, here he is. On the text, stand by. Oh my God. I'm going to tell him to rejoin just for a moment. I'm going to sit here and tell you that the only benefit to taking this show in via podcast is that they're never going to hear any of this. However, this is why we do it live.
We'll do it live.
This is why the people listen live. For nonsense like this. They're never going to hear this. This is what I say. Tune in sometimes. Because you never know what's going to happen. I'm trying to text Noah Glanville right now on my phone, and it says it's not going through. I don't know why that is. Oh, now Doug takes Noah's place. Doug, leave immediately. Come back in 8 minutes. Please leave.
Try to come in early.
Please leave. Hurry. Get out of here. Doug, no. All right. Doug coming in early. Wow. Well, I'm going to give it 30 more seconds, and then I'm going to roll tape and get through an abbreviated top of the second hour. Let's see if he comes in. Come on. Huh. All right. Well, I hate to say it. We've lost Noah Glanville here, so I apologize. I'm not sure exactly what happened, although my internet is here, so something happened on his end, unfortunately, which is a shame. We were just kind of getting ready to wrap out anyway, so this is an unfortunate circumstance. However, we are ready to roll here in the second hour. So let me quickly move some songs around here. I thank Noah Glanville, guy the cooking Sam, saying I tapped him out. Agreed. He's like, that's enough. Can only talk about so much war. pitbarrelcooker.com. That's pitbarrelcooker.com. And we will head to the second hour literally right now. Literally right now. Stand by.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish! What?
He ate sushi or wiener.
But listen, Libertius, shut your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, now we are into the second hour. It's going to be very quick. Once again, not sure exactly what happened at the tail end of the Noah Glanville origin story there, but we got through 97, 98% of it. I appreciate him being so candid and so open about growing up. Obviously, the military experience was something I didn't know delved that deep, and he was certainly open to sharing that, which I certainly appreciate. So, pitbarrelcooker.com, the website. We thank Noah Glanville for joining me in the first hour, an epic origin story. So, if you're listening now here on Thursday and you missed the first hour somewhere in the podcast, make sure you go back and listen to the Noah Glanville origin story. Still to come on the show this evening, the Embedded Correspondents. As we close out 2022, we say good evening to everybody watching tonight through one of the streaming platforms of video, Facebook and Twitch/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch over on YouTube, which is /RD Rempe. Results of the poll currently, 91% of you say you're doing something totally different for New Year's Eve, and 9% of you are saying that you're going to do some type of pork and sauerkraut. We traditionally do some kind of pork or sauerkraut, but I'm also lobbying for spaghetti and meatballs. Why not? Let's throw it all to the wind this time around. I mean, how much luck have we really had over the last number of years that we've had pork and sauerkraut in this house? Not a lot. Not a lot. Also, we say good evening to those folks that are using the audio streaming platform Clubhouse. So as I say each and every week, if you'd rather hear us and not see us, that's the way to do it. Go download the Clubhouse app and you can get involved in the audio, which is also how we will use it for the next segment when we do the 100% surety questions. So if you would like to take part in that, jump over to the Clubhouse room there, and I will start inviting folks up. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central Show in 10 minutes or less this Friday, episode 262, taking you back to January 5th, 2016. They say, and I fully agree, that he's one of the best competitors to ever do competition barbecue. That, of course, being Travis Clark of the Clark Crew Barbecue team. He is featured on the upcoming episode Friday. This was an interview that saw me talking to Travis about the 2015 Team of the Year win, but up front, we cover a lot of background on him, how he actually got into the competition barbecue scene, what really launched him into it, and then we rolled into what he was working on in the 2014 offseason to prepare him for the 2015 season, which, of course, he eventually won Team of the Year in. One of the things that I thought was particularly interesting during this conversation was his full admittance of being consistently inconsistent when it came to brisket in 2014. Sometimes he would use choice. Sometimes he would use prime or certified Angus if he saw one that he looked like it was good for him to buy. Sometimes he would buy Snake River Farms for the big events. But not dialing in a program ended up earning him 114th or 117th overall in brisket in 2014 for the brisket Team of the Year race. So he knew he had to dial that in, and to his credit, he did. It's a great listen, legendary competitor to be sure, and now a very successful barbecue restaurant owner as well. All right, well, let's get ready for the Embedded Correspondent segment. Had a number of other things to get to, but not going to happen. We'll save it for next year. How about that? I said it. Lame joke executed. Before we get to the Embedded Correspondence, I'm talking to you about Green Mountain Grill, some of the best pellet cookers out there on the market today. Choice line and a prime line. Choice line for those that want to save a couple $100, who just want a reliable, better than entry-level cooker that you can put a lot of meat on. Choice line is the one for you. If you don't care about saving some money, you want a little bit more of a robust build on the chassis, you want all the other bells and whistles that a lot of these other cookers have, Prime line, that's the one you're going to want to take a look at. 200 total meat probes. You have a Wi-Fi connection. You have the ability to download an app and control the cooker all through the app. You never even have to get out of your chair if you don't want to raise or lower temperatures. You can create custom cook cycles, all that stuff. Turn it on, turn it off. Doesn't matter. You do it all right from the app. Only sold through dealers, so find one near you. GreenMountainGrills.com. That's GreenMountainGrills.com. And you can check out all of the different sizes and all of the different features and benefits and accessories, because the dealer should have a lot of accessories too. Might I recommend the pizza oven insert? Of course. GreenMountainGrills.com is the place to go for your next pellet cooker. And we'll be back with the Embedded Correspondents right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And as luck would have it, this portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 3 sizes with a host of accessories, whether you're a beginner or professional, it doesn't matter. Definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. And, as luck would also have it, it's time for the very last Embedded Correspondence segment of 2022. So we welcome in the Embedded Correspondence. Doug Scheiding, longest-running EC from Texas, right there to the right. Below me directly is John Solberg from Michigan, but I believe he might be punching out and punching back in because he's held that pose for longer than naturally possible.
Check and test.
Are you there, John?
I'm there, but I seem to be having a camera problem.
Well, your camera, you got a mic problem. You got a whole bunch of problems there right now. So you go ahead and work on that, and we'll figure it out here. And then, of course, caddy corner to the right from me is none other than the great embedded correspondent from the city of Utah, Rusty Monson, Salt City Barbecue Pitmaster, competition team, and trailer, of course. So, number of things to get to here, gents, but I have some housekeeping that I told Doug to make sure that he keeps me on task for, but I see it. I proportioned it right here in the outline. So before we get going, I have to come clean on something. Okay, hold on a second. What is that? Is that you, Doug? Do you hear that?
I don't think so.
No? All right. Is that John? I hear a TV in the background. Somebody have a TV on? No?
I don't hear anything at all. Certainly not me because I was on mute the whole time.
Hold on.
I don't hear anything either.
Hold on.
And I'm on mute.
Interesting. All right, now it's all gone. So we've done it successfully. Look, I got to come clean with something. So for Christmas Day, our pal, John Solberg, gifted me a very nice rib roast from our pal Kevin Green over at the butcher shop, and I cooked it up. Now, little different process for me because we have one oven in the house, and I like to do the prime rib this time around through the oven in its traditional roasted sense. I know some folks like to do the reverse sear, this and that, but we had some other things that had to go in the oven as well. So I put it in the bag and seasoned it up with some double secret steak rub and cash cow and plopped it in the sous vide machine right around noon 30. And I text John and I said, John, how long do you think this thing's got to go in the sous vide machine at 130 degrees? He said 6 hours. I was like, oh, shit. At the time, we had boyfriends at the house and all this stuff. Look, this is a long way for me to go to just state the painfully obvious. I posted pictures of it coming out of the oven, and after I got the sear on it, when I jacked up the temperature, it looked delicious. I don't know if any of you guys saw it or not. But Curtis Rogers, a fan of mine on Instagram, asked me a question. Something I didn't even think about, which was the following. Hey, Rempe, did you use a mayo binder on that?
Get that big stuff out of here.
Not only no, it didn't even cross my mind for 1 second.
Get that big stuff out of here.
I feel like the live fire industry's biggest charlatan is somebody who brought the mayo binder trend to TikTok and Instagram and had it out with Dick Paste in a very verbal confrontation, mostly me on top of him on my show, and then hammering it home on Instagram and TikTok for me to not even think to use my very own trending thing on social media has made me question my very validity of hosting this show. And again, I use the term charlatan with conviction, with truth, and I'm not just trying to grab BS here. I am ashamed as a live fire human, as a man, as a husband, as a father, as a friend to all of the embedded correspondents. I feel like I should turn most of you free and let you find some other show to be on. For how could I possibly extend into 2023 after such charlatan-esque behavior? No mayo binder as a brisket, and it never even crossed my mind. I now open the floor to you, John, for a verbal lambasting if you should see fit to give me one.
I missed the entire. I don't know why. You bastard.
Yes, that's right. That's
what
right.
What the heck were you thinking?
I wasn't thinking. That's the problem. Rusty, let me have it.
I don't know, man. I mean, that was your thing. You thought, and it all came down to this. You were posting pictures for the first time. This was your time to shine. This is the moment you built up for. This is all your work. This is all the work built up to this. This was your Super Bowl, and you were basically the Seahawks not running the ball with Marshawn.
I blew it.
Getting intercepted.
I blew it. Doug, give it to me.
Okay, I have one possible explanation. Did you actually sous vide it for 5 hours?
Yes.
Okay, well then you wouldn't use mayo because it's going to be slimy. It won't cook off in the last 30 minutes that you put a sear on it. So that is the explanation.
Thank God. Curtis, leave me alone on Instagram. You're a bully. You're a bully. How dare you question me? I know what I'm doing. I was just waiting for somebody to point it out and save my bacon. No pun intended. So that's number one. Number two, we have another piece of business. And might I say, much to the chagrin or to be chagrin of the embedded correspondents.
A Barbecue Central Show exclusive news update.
Greg Rempe reporting from the breaking news desk here in Cleveland, Ohio, the city that breaks the most live fire breaking news as it breaks across the country, nay, the globe. And not until 6 p.m. Eastern did this even pop its head up. It was over. It was done with. It was gone. Never to be seen or heard from again. However, gang, gear up for season 4 of Barbecue Central Show's American Idol. I didn't want to do it. But in sound checking with Rusty's looking for a pistol. We're going to see a snuff show right here online. I was talking with Amber Glanville as we were sound checking for Pit Barrel Cooker, and I was telling her about how I won the most recent edition. Well, Amber happens to be, or fancies herself to be, quite a singer. So nonchalantly, Doug, are you eating an arsenic embedded biscuit to off yourself? I said, well,
if I don't make it through the show, apologize.
I said, if you come on as our guest singer, I will revive the show. Of course, thinking she would immediately, like, who's going to say yes? I have no idea. And she jumped on it in 1 second. She's like, book it. I am absolutely going to do it. I was like, curses. Well, here I've ponied it up. I've trotted this horse out of the stable, and now we got to ride it. So, gang, I hate to say it. I'm not sure. Tom Dickey weighing in on Instant Chat. No, Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue, you're a bastard. Shame on you. The lines are coming in fast and furious. But I say before the year ends, it's going to be 5 of us. Some of us are going to be battling to get back to the finals. Some of us are going to be battling to defend championships. Some of us, named Doug, are going to be trying to get into the second round for the first time. But start getting second time. Sorry. That's right. Jesse's girl was awesome. So start building a mental catalog. Start getting stuff in the can now. She's fully up to speed on what the rules are going to be like. But we're going to have a live singing live fire celebrity in our midst. It's not just going to be Doug and John, Rusty, and me. There's going to be co-founder of Pit Barrel Cooker, Amber Glanville, who will test her mettle against our singing savvy. And I know everybody's very, very excited about that. I'm not even going to go around and ask for opinion because everybody's 100% happy. I can see the look on your faces, no doubt about it. So, all right, let's get to the 100% Assurity Picks because that's what everybody's waiting for. I'm going to invite Robert Salazar on stage, and we'll see if we have him here. Robert, you there? Nope. Why would it work? I don't know. However, we do have our embedded correspondents ready to do Assurity. Robert, if you can hear me and you want to jump on, make sure that you're... hold on. See ya. Yeah. Go. Robert, are you there? That's so weird. I tested all this before the show. His hand is up. Let's go to question number 1, shall we? Why not? Douglas, 100% yes or 100% no. Prime rib is the official meat for Christmas.
Damn straight yes.
Yes. All right. Doug, is your mic on? Tap your mic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Damn straight yes.
Tap your mic.
I was on mute.
No. Tap your mic. Do what I'm telling you. It's not on. It's 100% not on.
Yeah, it is. I can hear it.
No, it's not on. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no. Prime rib is the official meat of Christmas.
It's ham. Fuck no, it's not.
Oh, okay. F no. Now hold on a sec. Rusty, tap your mic.
Oh, are you serious?
Your mic isn't on either. What the hell is going on here?
I can hear it. I can
hear mine too.
I mean, it's
I got little lines popping up when I talk. Yeah.
How can it not be coming through my board then?
I don't know.
I can hear my mic on when I tap it.
That's weird. All right. Well, I mean, it's not coming through here, but whatever. John Solberg, 100% yes or 100% no. Prime rib, the official meat for Christmas.
100% yes. Save that ham for Easter.
Right.
It's lamb for Easter. Come on.
Robert, are you there? Oh, no? Okay. Hey, let's try this. Guy, are you there? All right. He was there a second ago. Guy, you there? Still no guy. I got an idea. Watch this. I'm going to change the game. Guy, you there? I changed the game. Guy, you there? No. It's bizarre. I don't understand. Anyway. For me, 100% yes or 100% no. Prime rib, the official meat of Christmas, 100% yes. Yes.
Sweet.
It's delicious. And it's not just because John sent me one. I eat it every year, and it's delicious. That's what I grew up on, and it is 100% delicious. All right, we'll go to question number 2 now. And just for fun, let me see where we're at here. Yeah, no, we're there. And what about here? Yes. Okay. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no. You are interested in trying the faux meat products as they come out.
Yeah, of course. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
Doug, yes or no?
No way.
Oh. A no for Doug. All right, we'll go to John Solberg. 100% yes or 100% no. You are interested in trying the faux meat products as they come out.
Absolutely yes.
You're a proselytizer of the meat alternatives, I think, the plant-based meat alternatives.
I would agree with that. Yeah, it's not going away. It's only going to evolve. It's going to change, but it's not going away.
All right, so yes for John. 100% yes or 100% no for me? Yeah, I like to keep my finger on the pulse. Even though it's not meat per se, I'd like to keep my finger on the pulse. Guy, are you there? No. All right. Well, I'm not sure exactly what the hell's happening over in Clubhouse, but that's why Sam, the cooking guy, berates me for using it. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. John, 100% yes or 100% no. You agree that the smoke profile that most pellet cookers put out is underwhelming.
I 100% agree.
All right. I did a really good job this month at not making the double negative questions, so I have to ask them again. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. You agree that the smoke profile most pellet cookers put out is underwhelming?
I don't have a lot of experience with other pellet cookers, so I'm going to say no.
Oh, all right.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Rusty, yes or no?
I just put this to the test yesterday and 100% yes.
Oh. Now, I have a multitude of different pellet cookers. I do not have any hybrid cookers, which do not fall under the pellet cooker category because they're hybrid cookers. And for me, 100% yes or 100% no, do I find that the smoke profile that most pellet cookers put out is underwhelming? No. I don't. I am not a huge smoke fan. Now, to live in hypocrisy, which is the city I founded and currently run, when I had my Lang offset, I loved the flavor that the Lang put out. However, I wouldn't say that was a better smoke flavor, but I wouldn't say it was heavy on the palate or overwhelming, or because I knew how to run the fire the best way possible. But I'm not a huge smoke fan, so I find that what the pellet cooker puts out agrees with me. It also happens to agree with the women in the family, which I am widely outnumbered by. John, let me circle back to you. Are you a smoke fan?
Not super heavy smoke. No, I'm. In matter of fact, even certain smoke profiles bother me. Like the drums are almost to the edge of offensive to me with that, because there's a lot of a different type of smoke. So, no, I'm not. I can't say I am a smoke eater.
All right, Rusty, are you a smoke eater?
Oh yeah, 100%. Love it.
All right, Doug, are you a smoke eater?
No, I'm not. And yeah, I think the pellet cookers, you just have to smoke them a little longer to get the smoke flavor that you want.
All right. I believe I'm hearing Guy. Guy, are you there? Oh, hold on. You're on mute. Guy, are you there?
No.
Did you say something?
No, it's me, Joe.
Joe Martinez.
That's me.
Holy moly. I didn't even know you were here. Usually your mic never works on Clubhouse.
It works.
Wow. Look at you.
I saved it for the last show of the year.
All right. Well, congratulations. Welcome aboard. By the way, everybody go watch Joe's latest video on his YouTube channel where him and his daughter make French bread pizzas on the Yoder, which look delicious. And 211,000 YouTube subscribers. So Joe's a budding YouTube sensation as well. Joe, are you a smoke eater?
I am a smoke eater.
Yes.
Big time.
So would you say 100% yes or 100% no that the smoke profile that most pellet cookers put out is underwhelming?
I say for most pellet smokers, yes.
Yes. All right.
Not
for the Yoder.
The higher end ones don't have that issue.
Yeah. Let me circle back to you since we have you. 100% yes or 100% no. Prime rib, the official meat of Christmas?
Absolutely.
All right. And are you interested in trying the faux meat products as they come out? For instance, Beyond or Impossible?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Now we're all caught up. Smoking Joe Martinez is joining us here from the studio audience. All right, we'll go back to, let's start with you, Joe, since you're up here. 100% yes or 100% no. Competition barbecue will continue its slide, and not in a positive way, next year.
I think it will.
All right.
Unfortunately.
Oh, sorry, wrong one. There we go. It will, yes. That's a yes. Oh, my God. It's a tragic segment here, one for the ages. Doug, 100% yes or 100% no. Competition barbecue will continue its slide and not in a positive way next year.
Yes, it will continue its slide.
Uh-oh. I have a feeling we have a potential majority in this question. John, yes or no?
It will continue to slide. Yes.
Mr. Positive, yes or no?
I don't think so, man. I think it'll crest right about here.
Well, in a strange turn of fate and positivity, your humble host agrees with Rusty. I think 2023 is going to start trending back up. By the way, I have no real statistical data to prove that other than I think that's what is going to happen. I feel it. So we'll see if 2023 is a trend up in competition barbecue. Last question here, boys. Doug! 100% yes or 100% no. World Food Championships will gain the notoriety it once had 3 years ago.
I'm going to say no, but if he goes overseas, possible. But
Okay, well, you can't pussyfoot around. It's yes or no.
no.
All right. Say like a man. You can act like a man. Rusty, 100% yes or 100% no. World Food Championships will regain the notoriety it had 3 years ago.
I don't think so, no. I don't think so.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Smoking Joe, yes or no?
100% no.
Oh, yikes.
Get that big stuff out of here.
We go to the man who knows everything. From Michigan, John Solberg, 100% yes or 100% no. World Food Championships will regain the notoriety it once had 3 years ago.
The shark has been jumped. 100% no.
Wow.
Get that big stuff out of here.
Well, we're on tap for an unanimous agreement 100% yes or 100% no. For me, I'm going to buck the trend. Wait. Yeah, it will. 100% yes, it will regain the notoriety it once had. And I will go ahead and raise the pot, gentlemen. It will be the most popular it has ever been in 2023 out of its 10 years of current existence. Everybody's going to know about it. Everybody's going to want in on it. And I buy in 100% to Mike McLeod's urgency to make it bigger here in the States and make it a true World Food Championships. So we'll see next year at this time, because we'll all remember what I said, to see if I was right or if I was wrong to buck this trend. Joe, thank you for coming on this evening. Anything you'd like to plug before I let you go?
Obviously, you've plugged my YouTube channel, but just want to wish everybody a happy new year and cook another prime rib.
All right, another prime rib. There he is. Smoking Joe. From Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue. He's got a food trailer out in Texas. I gave him the opportunity to go ahead and plug it, but I guess not. All right, guys, stand by as I do one more piece of business here, and then we'll come back and talk about the 2023 trend. What the fuck is going on here today? It's a nightmare. Hey, in 4 days, it's going to be New Year's Eve. The day after that, it's going to be New Year's. And then you know what you're going to say is, well, I'm going to lose all the weight. Oh, yeah? Well, take it from a guy who's 24 weeks in, not fat, but said, I'm going to need a little assistance in doing this, little accountability. I want somebody to not hold my hand, but somebody that can help me develop a food strategy, somebody that can help me do a weight strategy, and help me accomplish my goals. Well, that's where my pal David McDowell came into play. So the website, of course, is davidleans.com/BBQ. That's davidleans.com/BBQ. So through the past week and a half, constant contact on What am I going to be eating? What's the weekend going to look like? We're going to be doing a lot more of that this coming weekend, too, because as we talked about when David was on the show, this specific time of the year, it's almost like it's setting you up to fail right out of the gate. It's gluttony. It's no self-control. It's eat anything and everything for a month straight. And then you're expected, because the year changes, to just go ahead and snap to, have a lifestyle that you can retreat back to? I don't think so. That's where a guy like David can be in your corner. And really, for a minimal investment every month in your health, in your well-being, so your family can have you around longer. Maybe they don't want that, but you should want that. DavidLeans.com/BBQ. That's DavidLeans.com/BBQ. Sign up, ask him the questions. He'll meet you where you're at, and you'll be off and running. We are back with the Embedded Correspondents right after this. Stick around.
Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. The Embedded Correspondents are with me in tow. Doug Scheiding's right there to the next of me, and below me is John Solberg from Michigan, and Rusty Monson's down there in the bottom right corner as you are looking at him from Utah. So we have some other topics for discussion here as we get through the rest of the last show here in 2022. Rusty, we'll start with you. Best gift given, and received.
Best gift gave and or received. I guess a gift. We gave out money to people randomly this year, so I thought that was pretty cool. And then we did food for people too, so I thought that was pretty neat. Just
like you just walk up to randos and gave them cash.
Yeah, if we're in like Walmart or Target
Very
and
nice.
stuff like that, we give them $100. We save up, and then at the end of the year, we give out $100 bills randomly.
Yeah,
and that was cool. And then I got a freaking Apple Watch for the 8th time, so I'll probably break this one in about 2.5 weeks and need a new one. But it's great. Love it.
All right, got the Apple Watch. Nice little piece of tech there for Rusty Monson. All right, Doug, best gift you gave and best one you got.
Well, y'all are all familiar with the best gift I gave, which was the kitchen shears by Man Kitchen. And the best gift I received were Ariat all-terrain kind of weather boots. So I'm going to use those at cook-offs.
All right. John, best gift you gave and best gift received.
Sorry, there's a cat there.
Just pay no attention to that thing. It's not even supposed to be.
Don't pay attention to the cat.
That's not my
Where
cat.
was I? Best gift I received is anyone who is helping me with my fundraiser this giving season for Meals on Wheels. That was great gifts for me. As far as gave away, I'm not a gift person. I don't have a lot of folks in my life for that. So I'm going to say it's going to be the actual fundraiser itself for Meals on Wheels. Both sides of that coin.
For me, best gift within the immediate family. Ooh, well, it could be the truff box gift set that I got, a black truff sauce, a white truff sauce, and then truffle oil. Or I thought I was going to get cigars this year, but no cigars. Even though I'm a budding enthusiast, but nobody wanted to step out of their comfort zone and take a risk on a box of cigars, so I went without there. I did get a pair of house shoes that I was totally not expecting. And now I'm a proud owner of a pair of house shoes right here, so that's something that I was really happy. Best gift I gave. Next year for the immediate family, I've committed a certain amount of money for a reattempt at the 25th anniversary vacation that we didn't end up going on. We'll try it again this year, and I've earmarked a certain amount of money for that. So those are best gave and received. All right, Rusty. No, Rusty got a watch, and he gave money. Best food trends of 2022. Rusty, what tripped your trigger this year on food trends?
I try to avoid those things at all costs. I really do. Like I try not to do it. I try not to pay attention to them. I try not to worry about them. I don't know. So I don't pay attention to food trends. I really don't. They bother the shit out of me. So I avoid them.
So you don't even have a favorite one that you tried to avoid?
Does the McRib count because it was its last turn? Does that count?
That's a food trend, no doubt.
That would true.
I think probably the
not
McRib
only
thing,
because it's its last year.
Sucking.
I mean, it's a food trend every year when it comes out. Are you kidding? People are posting videos, and I love McRib. They didn't do it this year, but
yeah.
And you were soured on the McRib this year. That was its own food trend of 2022. Was the souring of the McRib for Rusty?
Yeah, they did it on purpose. They're trying to phase it out and alienate people like me, their biggest fan.
Yeah, well, that's crazy. John, biggest or best food trend of 2022?
I'm still sticking with charcuterie. It's still held high and changed form from boards and started to take on a little. So I'm sticking with meat and cheese and olive things.
All right, Doug, what do you think the best food trend of 2022 was?
Well, I thought about John's smoked Twinkies, but that kind of fell off the board, but so to speak, pun intended. I'm going to say QR codes. I like going to restaurants and getting the menu as soon as I get there. So I like QR codes.
All right. For me, food trend of the year, hands down, you can't beat it with a stick, can't whip it with a switch. Smoked cream cheese. It won the year. That was the best one. I'm not saying it's my favorite, but I'm looking at it as an evaluation of food trends of 2022. Nothing shot to the moon quicker. Nothing also fell to the earth faster, 87 hours later after everybody got off it. But when people were on it, they were on that bitch. So that was, to me, the food trend of 2022. What was the worst food trend of 2022? John?
Smoked cream cheese was the worst food trend of 2022. Come on, it's like...
Hey, your opinion.
Yeah, I'm going to be quiet. I'll offend people here with that bullshit.
Doug, worst food trend of 2022?
I had two: meat prices and bacon-wrapped Oreos.
Bacon-wrapped Oreos were a food trend this year? Ugh.
Oh, gosh. Did you see them on Instagram? Yeah.
Evie. No, I missed that one. Thank goodness. Rusty, worst food trend of 2022 that you saw?
Easy, McRib. It's the worst.
Wow, best and worst. Good. For me, worst food trend of 2022. What was the worst food trend? I think in the end, because I still don't understand why or where the fascination came from, was these ridiculous boards. Peanut butter and jelly board, Nutella board, and there's a cutting board, and then you're putting shit all over the board. Nacho board, whatever. I don't know why you couldn't just do that on a cookie sheet, maybe for aesthetics. Maybe you never use your cutting board, and this was the reason you were able to get it out of the cabinet and use it, take some Instagram photos. Also, I think this continues to lead us down the path of why the world and the rest of the world hates America, is because we do food trends like this. We're going to rub food in your faces, countries that can't eat, by putting cream cheese and peanut brittle on boards and take pictures of it and put it out there for everybody's social consumption. So I think those weird boards were the worst food trend of 2022. Doug, let's go back to you around here. Who do you think the most influential person in live fire in 2022 was?
Blues Hog Barbecue.
Really? Wow. All right. Any particular reason, or specifically Memphis in May?
Yeah, just the Memphis MA, and they've been on a heck of a streak the last year or two, and what they did at Memphis MA was just phenomenal. You know, three categories, winning all of them. It's just amazing.
John, most influential person in live fire this year.
I'll pull one out of the two because it's people. I got to go with Malcolm and Rachel Reed. Continue to dominate, and I'll pick Malcolm if it's got to get it down to one, but continue to be a strong influence in the industry.
The pair, Malcolm, Rochelle Reed, both very strong influences here in the live fire community, no doubt about it. Rusty, who do you think the most influential person in live fire was this year?
Coming from competition is going to be Brad Leininger, so kind of the Blues Hawk connection.
All right, yeah.
Just because he went to the Stratosphere this year.
I'm going to go in left field for this one. You probably don't see it coming. He's a close personal pal of mine, everybody. Michael Simon is the most influential person in live file this year, with Barbecue USA on the Food Network exposing the community to live fire once again. Yet to be seen if it reaches the echelons of Pitmaster, although it's obviously in a second season of filming. Perhaps they've actually already filmed the second season, and now it's going through the cutting and editing process to be seen maybe springtime or summer. Michael has committed to come on the show to promote that when it actually happens, so we'll see how that works. Now that we both follow each other on Twitter, we can direct message each other because I'm a big shot. All right, John, best embedded correspondence segment of 2022.
Well, you're only as good as your last show, so obviously I will pick this one. However, I expect you to stand for that nonsense. So I'm going to go back to our putting in place Hall of Fame. That was September. Was that back in September when we put in the guest Hall of Fame? I think that was one of the best shows that I've been able to be part of.
All right, this year. Guest Hall of Fame for John. Rusty, your favorite embedded correspondent this year? Segment.
I think it was the final, and I hate to say this because I don't want to encourage this one bit, but the finals of the Idol, simply because I felt like I had a shot. I feel like I could have done it. I rose from the ashes, and I almost took it down, but I didn't. But it was a good one, I thought.
Doug, the best embedded correspondent segment this year.
I'm in agreement with John. The Hall of Fame. It was a great discussion.
All right.
Filled up the entire program, and it was just in a great class.
In a odd twist of fate, I'm agreeing with Rusty. It was the American Idol finals. I thought the duet was crazy good, and I thought both of us executing live productions on both of our sides, one in Utah, one in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, was great. And the fact that this kind of trends through the previous 3 months too, but having a real live signed lead singer of a real-ass rock band that actually tours and has sold thousands, if not millions, of copies and streams or whatever the hell they do these days. Jose Urquiza from 3 Years Hollow sitting in and giving his opinion on the finals, I thought was some of our best work in 2022. I am partial, of course, to the Guest Hall of Fame as well, but I think when it comes down to it, if I got to split hairs, I'm siding with Rusty here and going with the finals of the American Idol Barbecue Central show. And by the way, if you're just tuning in, much to everybody's chagrin, including mine, there will be a season 4 of American Idol Barbecue Central show edition. I didn't want to do it, so blame Amber from Pit Barrel Cooker and go from there. That's pitbarrelcooker.com. Best show interview of 2022. Doug?
Second best was the Masterbuilt. The first one, and this is going to surprise some people based on my previous comments, Mike McLeod. Tough questions and straight up answers.
All right. Yeah. Very good. Rusty, your favorite interview of the show in 2022?
More like a series. I like the Malcolm Reed where he breaks down chicken and he breaks down ribs. And
like the round tables.
Cool.
Right. Yep. John, your favorite interview of 2022?
I got to roll with Doug, Mike McLeod, December the 13th, because that was a Mike McLeod we have never, ever seen on the show before.
F-bombs.
Totally different person. Oh, it really got my attention, and I look forward to 5 years from now because that will be a best moments in 5 years.
Well, I remember doing the due diligence for the 2022 year in review, and halfway through the year, I was shocked at the amount of great interviews. Most of the interviews are great in their own right, but then when you got to start classifying them as greatness over greatness, I had a handful of ones, and I would be lying if I didn't say there is a portion of me that agrees with John and Doug. However, in the final analysis, there is no doubt in my mind that the best interview of 2022 was the John Marcus origin story. To hear his growing up in Ohio, to hear the run-in with Bob Hope, to hear how he then got in the car and drove to New York City to meet up with Bob Hope and make sure that he was able to repitch him on jokes. And then the part that stuck with me the most, there was the whole, the father, tussle that he was having where the father didn't believe he was ever going to be a success. And then he was back home being on the Cosby Show, goes outside for a walk in his neighborhood while the Cosby Show was airing. And every TV show in the neighborhood has the Cosby Show on it as he's walking the streets of the neighborhood was absolutely mind-blowing to me. Not to mention talking about, the Pitmaster shows and, how that changed the whole dynamic of the barbecue industry. The Jeremy Andrus interview was incredible. That was early on in the year, too. That was a front runner. But in the final analysis, to me, it's John Marcus taking it. So great answers there. Last question before we call it a year here, gents. Aside from this show, and you're not going to hurt my feelings if you're going to say nobody else's. And I know Rusty can't say that. I mean, he could, but he won't say that. What other barbecue podcasts do you listen to? And anything is fair game. No rules, just right. John?
I'll be totally honest. I am all of my podcast listening time is dedicated to the best moments, and I have not listened to any other podcast.
That's right.
For the last 5 years.
That's
I
right.
abandoned every podcast 5 years ago, and happy to do so.
All right. Doug, what other barbecue podcasts are you listening to?
Obviously, the best moments. Listen to it every week. And baseball and barbecue, Pitmasters podcast, and periodically I'll listen to Pit Life Barbecue and grab them in the brisket. And a food podcast that I do listen to and I find humorous is Green Eggs and Dan.
Green Eggs and Dan?
Dan Adut, he's a comedian and he interviews other comedians and other people, other food people. So
Dan Adut,
like Jacques Pequin, he's had on the show and stuff. So some really good interviews.
All right, Rusty, what other barbecue podcasts are you listening to?
I'm a true crime junkie, so I have all my time taken up in true crime. But so I have a couple other things to listen to. So I listen to very few. I will always listen to Barbecue Central show. I do listen to John's, but it is so at the end you're like, damn it! Like,
yes,
what does he say next? It's like so infuriating. I'll listen to that too when I'm in the car, of course, so I can't do anything about it. And then Malcolm Reed's, I'll listen to that all the time. Barbecue Beat with Kevin Sandridge, I'll pop into his, and I'll tune into the Grill Coach every once in a while, but that's about it.
For me, I subscribe to all of the barbecue podcasts that I know that are currently available, and from a very mathematical sense, I listen to all the barbecue podcasts because I want to know what everybody else is talking about, number one. But number two, I want to hear how everybody else sounds. I want to hear how people are hosting. I want to hear their sound quality. I want to hear how they've constructed the show. I want to hear how they've run the show. I want to hear if they've researched the guests. I want to hear what kind of questions they ask. I want to know all the underpinnings and inner workings of every barbecue show out there, so I subscribe to all of them. Now, which ones do I actually listen to? I agree with Rusty 100%. I listen to the How to Barbecue Right podcast every time there's a new episode without fail. I listen to the Pitmasters podcast every time there's a new episode without fail, not just because Rusty's on the panel, but because I actually like it. And I've been a fan from way back. I remember contacting Rusty and Anthony a long time ago and saying right out of the gate, you guys have a good sound. You sound good. You sound like you care, aside from actually doing good interviews. So that was number one with me. And then I will listen to Grill Coach Podcast, although they're going through some trials and tribulations right now that they're working through. And, I should go without saying that I listen to the best moments every Friday, but I also get an advanced listen as I'm putting those into the podcast feed as well. And I listen to Pit Life Barbecue with Johnny Maggs out there in New Hampshire. I find that to be an enjoyable listen. And it's not barbecue related anymore. It's definitely more business related, but Sean Walchef's new Restaurant Influencers podcast, which is now going on a year old, I really enjoy listening to. He's got good sound, and I don't know if it's through his partnership with Entrepreneur or not, but man, oh man, he has gotten some guests over the last handful of months that I could only dream of getting on the show, to the tune of that Rob Drydeck from MTV, who hosts that ridiculous show. Oh, well, it's called Ridiculousness. But he was like a pro skater, or was he a skateboarder? Rusty, do you know that guy I'm talking about on MTV?
I believe so. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this guy's worth $1 billion. He's sold a bunch of companies, and then he had Emeril Lagasse on like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Sean is bringing some huge guests onto the show, and it's great to listen to. Great to hear them and his guests in a completely different environment than they would normally be. So if you're not subscribed to Restaurant Influencers, even if you don't own a restaurant, because I don't, they have a lot of great stuff talking about social media, business, and all that fun stuff. So those are some of the podcasts I listen to. But as I said, if you have a barbecue podcast, I subscribe to it, and I definitely check it out. If it sucks, I can tell right away, and I leave it. But otherwise, I might not get to it immediately, but I'm listening to everything that's out there because I want to know what's out there. All right, well, we're going to wrap it up here, guys, and we're doing it in a little bit more of a timely fashion than I thought we would, which is great. So we'll leave time for promotion. Doug, anything you would like to leave us with and or promote here as we end this show and the year of 2022?
Yes, I'm. You won't hear it because it wasn't on your list, but I'm on co-host on the Baseball and Barbecue Show.
You are
Mike Davis this week.
Never.
Yes.
I don't believe it.
Shocking.
When did that happen?
You never listened to it, so you won't know.
Yeah, Len and Jeff and Doug, or Baseball and Barbecue starring Doug Scheiding with your co-hosts Len and Jeff, I think is what we should call it. Rusty, anything you're promoting on the way out of 2022?
Always listen to the Pitmasters podcast. We are taking a little bit of break, but we're coming back big in 2023. Trust me. So go back and get caught up.
John, promotion as we leave 2022.
I'd just like to thank everyone who's helped with the fundraiser for Meals on Wheels over on my Instagram, and I would like to invite anyone who can pop over there to Instagram, make a quick donation. We're about halfway to our goal. Super easy. Just if you can help, it's the giving season. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and of course, I will promote John's Meal on Wheels drive as well. So go ahead and give a few bucks if you can. Gentlemen, as the year closes, I say with peace and love, and thanks and praise, your patronage to the show each and every month, doing the segments, preparing, getting ready, singing, of course. And I'm looking forward to doing another 12, well, I guess it's technically 24 segments with you next year. If not more, for whatever reason. But I humbly thank you for the time, the work, and the effort that you put into the show. It's been a great 2022, and here's to 2023. Thank you. There they are. Doug Scheiding, John Solberg, and Rusty Monson, Texas, Michigan, and the great city of Utah, respectively. And we are ready to go. Before we leave this evening, let me do a little catch up on some reads here. First, let me tell you about Smithfield, sponsoring once again the Committed Cooks program in 2023. Only a few spots left, if there even are spots left. You can find out by visiting smokinwithsmithfield.com. Teams that are picked will receive premium swag kits, coupons, and surprises throughout the season. Once again, Spots are limited if they're not already full. You can find out by visiting smokinwithsmithfield.com and by Vortic Watch. Back in the day, watches made to be worn in the pocket, and after World War II, wrist watches came into vogue. The pocket watch quickly became an afterthought, finding their way into sock drawers and scrap heaps. Quite simply, a tragedy. Enter Vortic Watch, helping bridge the gap between America's storied watch manufacturing past and bringing it to the present day, where wristwatches are experiencing a high level of popularity once more. Here's the coolest part. Each watch that Vortic makes is unique and one of a kind. Vortic, founded on the motto that America wasn't assembled, it was built. Check out VorticWatches.com for more information, or pick one that's currently available. We're back to wrap the year right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Whole packers, full racks, legs and thighs, injecting butts. If you've never heard this before, you might think you found the best XXX show ever. Let's get back to the most homoerotic host out there today, Craig Rempe.
All right, we thank the Embedded Correspondents once more. Doug Scheiding from Texas, John Solberg from Michigan, and Rusty Monson of Utah. Make sure you're checking them out at their various social media haunts. Subscribe to Rusty's podcast, the Pitmasters podcast, if you like barbecue podcast, but with a little bit of a different spin, a little bit more competition stuff. They also talk a lot of steak and other stuff. I think that's going to do it. All the way back in the first hour, we spoke with Noah Glanville, the co-owner of Pit Barrel Cookers, pitbarrelcooker.com. Talked about 2022 business prognostications that he nailed. We talk about what he's expecting coming up in 2023, and then we got the origin story of Noah Glanville all the way up until the internet went out somewhere along the line, and that stopped abruptly, so I apologize for that. But up until that point, a great conversation with Noah, and I appreciate his support of the show, the friendship, and his openness as we got through that origin story. Then in the second hour, the Embedded Correspondents, talking about Assurity questions. I came clean on the fact that I didn't even think about putting mayo on my prime rib as a binder. I can't believe it. After I started the mayo binder trend of 2022, all me and nobody else but me. And Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue will vouch for me, as he did a brisket on his YouTube channel, giving me the credit, as he should have, which I appreciate. Then you saw him right here on the panel doing the 100% Assurity questions a little earlier this evening. And then we talked about some of the best of 2022 stuff with the panel of Embedded Correspondents, and then closed it out. Hope everybody had a great Christmas, a great Hanukkah. You're in the middle of Kwanzaa right now as well. If you're celebrating that, I hope you're having a great holiday, whatever it is you're celebrating or celebrated. And as we press forward to the weekend, I hope everybody has a safe New Year's celebration. I'm too old for any of that nonsense myself. I'll be in bed by 10, 11 o'clock at the latest. But if you're going to be going out and you're going to be imbibing and having a gay old time, make sure that you are being safe. We want you back for January 3rd, where we have a brand new show ready to go with Sam the Cooking Guy and Malcolm Reed and Cal Phelps from NBBQA, just to name a few right off the top of my head. So, September 11th, 2001, I will never forget. I want to thank everybody for listening this year. I certainly appreciate it. And we are locked and loaded for 2023. I am your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.
Hello, this is Joe with Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.